In this video I wanted to take a rest from the death mode calamity and dive into the paradise of casual players, the normal mode calamity. Yes, you heard me right. I wanted to figure out if it's really worth playing it, and also is the most popular Terraria mod actually balanced in terms of low difficulties. So you can just pretend I'm a low skilled player, which plays calamity for first time. Just feel that nostalgic vibe. And you better leave a like, also you might subscribe and comment down below on what difficulty mod you have completed Terraria. All this to motivate me to do more of such videos. Alright, that's all I wanted to say in the introduction, let's begin. This video will not be like a regular calamity playthrough, because the main target here are bosses and their attack pattern, damage and health changes. And of course, all these bosses are specifically from calamity mod. Cause, come on, let's be honest, we all have seen a normal mod, for example, Eye of Cthulhu or like any other vanilla boss. I think you get it. I didn't puzzle over a class choice. Melee, the most balanced calamity class as far as I know. And also what's good in it is that most of its weapons are easily accessible. And yeah, I know, this house is just a pure work of art. And also I was considering to switch to a true melee class. But most likely this would have led to a biased perception of boss fights, so that's why I didn't. Alright, let's get to the first boss, the Desert Scourge. By that time I had a 320 HP, a set of golden armor, a couple of decent accessories, and a burnt sienna with ice boomerang. The fight itself was kinda boring, to be honest. What did I expect from normal mode? The Scourge spawned without his servants, was really slow and shot 0 projectiles. Except that one burst when he was almost dead. I have killed him several more times, but I didn't discover anything more about this boss. Then I slayed King Slime, Brain of Cthulhu, obtained some hellish loot, and awakened the Perforators. And listen, even though it's moving with a snail speed and emits noticeably less projectiles, the Perforator Hive still got that touch of overwhelming, so I actually gotta put some effort to kill it. Then I upgraded my set to Aerialite tier, killed Skeletron, and made both Crabulon and Slime God summons. And certainly I went for Crabulon first, and I don't think I even need to explain this. He had like 5 seconds delay before jumping, and was almost idle the whole fight, and also you could cheese his jumps just placing blocks above him. So I think that's just about perfect for a casual Terraria player. Then I deployed a small surface arena, and summoned the next Slime God boss. And their jumps were shorter, they've been shooting a lot less projectiles, and the projectiles were slow as hell. And despite all this, you still have to learn their attack patterns to comfortably beat them, but their difficulty is still within the bounds of decency. Anyways, then I just beat the wall of flesh. And summarizing my pre-hardmode experience, it was kinda well balanced, to be honest, or maybe even too easy compared to vanilla Terraria normal mode. Overall, its balance rating is like 8 out of 10. Great job so far, Calamity devs. You'll see why I said so far. Then I got the early hard mode gear, killed the Queen Slime, farmed for essences of Ilium and crafted the Cryo Key, and used it in the snow biome. So the Cryogen fight had this bullet hellish aspect. And his attacks might be actually overwhelming for a noob calamity player, but low normal calamity damage scaling can forgive you everything. So that's kinda balanced as well. Then I killed 2 mechanical bosses, being the Twins and Destroyer, built a simple Sulphurous Sea arena, farmed for the Aquatic Scourge summoning item, and got right into the fight. I don't know why, but I felt like he's a bit too small. But speaking of attacks, there was significantly less bullet hell, like less poisonous clouds and slower teeth. I'm not sure these are teeth actually. And it felt like I almost took no damage. This is definitely a fight that fits normal mode standards. Then I got some sweet cryonic gear and went to the Brimstone Crags to examine the next test subject with the code name Brimstone Elemental. There is nothing much as well to tell about this boss. Less and slower projectiles, and the absence of Brimstone beam attack. This boss might get some noobs into trouble, because of Brimstone flame debuff that it inflicts. Then I killed the last mech boss, got some post-mech gear, and went straight for Calamity's clone. And oh boy, I think this is where newbies will feel this, because this boss has an attack called Calamity Bullet Hell, and despite it being really slow, you still have to dodge it, but for the rest of attacks, it's kinda similar to normal mode Twins. so I would say it's actually manageable to beat if you have skill issue. Then I got Arc of the Ancients, and with the help of it, I have coped with Terraria kill task with ease. And then goes equipment upgrade, and with new weapons, I went to the sea to kill the Anahita's spirit and awake the next boss. And if you have flat S arena like me, you will have troubles with Anahita and Leviathan. And there was not much changes actually, except that their attacks dealt literally like no damage. And if you take into account their snail speed, it's a well balanced boss for the normal mode. The next one is Astrum Arius, for which I am building an arena now, and except classic stat changes and projectile velocity, he didn't summon Arius spawns after teleporting, and that's kinda it. Next one according to the plan is Golem, killed, obtaining Scoria gear, farming some plug cells, and summoning the Plugbringer Goliath. What is noteworthy in this fight is absence of second phase, and Goliath's ability to only dash horizontally, and just as usual common stat decrease. And again, it might be kinda hard for casual players because of this debuff, since I also almost died to be honest. What a shame. Moving on, the next one is Ravager, aka the worst calamity boss ever, and because of huge cooldown between his jumps, I have easily true meleeed his second phase. Alright, the changes. He was not spawning rock and flame pillars anymore, and was not stomping you from above. This fight actually seemed too easy for the normal mode, so I killed him another time to show my superiority, and for flashy geode of course. Then I have slain Lunatic Cultist. I have been AFKing the whole fight, which led to a celestial creatures to invade, and solar pillar spawned near the astral beacon, so I had to deal with it first, and via this astral beacon I spawned our next boss, Astrum Deus. And god, why is it so small? That seems really cursed, and you might be really disappointed in me, but I failed my first attempt. It wasn't really overwhelming, but it may seem like a lot of bullet hell for noobs, and with Astrum Deus killed, there was just one obstacle on hard mode path remaining, the final vanilla game boss, Moonlord. Hey, what are you yapping about? He's already dead. Okay, not anymore I guess. And I still got the Celestial Onion from him. So normal mod players get the extra accessory, but Master mod doesn't? Isn't it kinda cursed and unfair? Don't you think so? Alright, let's summarize the hard mode stage. At first it went normally, just like in pre-hard mode stage, but then its difficulty slowly went up. So for this stage, my personal rating is 7 out of 10. Then, after doing some classical post-Moonlord things, like crafting and farming some profaned enemies, it was time to fight our first boss of post-Moonlord stage, and I was doing surprisingly bad. I have lost not just one, but you will see how much times. Between the attempts I have killed the Empress of Light, got the new Starlight weapon and turned it into Elemental Shiv, and went to the jungle to kill Dragon Folly. And this boss had no actual changes except the stats, speed, damage and projectile velocity, and compared to hard mode bosses, of course this one was harder, so if I was a noob, I would actually struggle with killing him. Anyways, back to the Profane Guardians. So with Elemental Shiv instead of Arc of Elements, I have finally beat them on 4th attempt, and this is first difficulty spike in this playthrough, and not the last one as well. And then I went straight for Providence. They didn't change any of her attacks except this one beam attack, they just slowed everything down, and it seemed like this fight was easier than the Profane Guardians fight. And then it was time for Rune of Chaos bosses. First one is of course Cygnus. Dude, it was just funny. He not only was 2 times slower, he even was vulnerable to knockback, so you could just stun lock him and that's basically it. In the second phase he is resistant to knockback, but still easy. Classic Cygnus being a punching bag. Next one is Stormweaver. His dashes were like 3 times slower, and he started casting ice arcs at 55% of health. In other words, another punching bag. Should be no problem for newbies. Next one is Ceaseless Void, the one I have troubles with, and his dark energy rotating pattern is just hilarious, could easily be dodged with some dashes. The bullet hell part is just slowed down, and has only 2 electric orbs instead of 3, and only in normal mode. Ceaseless Void is equal to other sentinels in terms of difficulty, and while still here I might wait for Poltergeist to spawn. And he was just shooting less projectiles in first phase, and I almost thought he has no second phase until 20% health. And this one is not much harder than the sentinels, but it might feel like a fast-paced fight for a casual Terraria player. The next one is Old Duke. All I can say here is that he is so slow, like you can easily outrun him with your current gear. And also you don't have to watch the arena to have some random projectiles flying around. Or, well, almost. Overall a very easy boss if you don't have to aim, of course. Anyways, the next one is known as the hardest boss of Calamity mode, called of course Devourer of Gods. And just look at this disappointment. They made him so slow and the bullet hell so easy, and even changed his AI to a completely new AI. So this is not Devourer of Gods anymore. Just look at how they massacred my boy. Or maybe it's us who are spoiled, and the Devourer of Gods has to be that easy. I don't even know at this point. Then goes event farming with an OP weapon Murasama. Just look at how it shreds the enemies. And with the new gear I crafted from the post-doc materials, it's time to move on for the next boss, Yaron. And after what I have went through, it hurts me to watch these attacks. They were so much slower, especially the dashes, and I still managed to die, because I wasn't using better zoom mode this time, just not to be biased to anything, and having a point of view of common Terraria player, and just as I expected. And then, after crafting Auric tier equipment, I went searching for schematics, and once I got them all, it was decrypting time, which took me around 1.5 hours, but at the end of the day, quite literally though, I managed to construct the full upgraded Drayton's computer, and once I pressed the contact button, the fight has started. And it felt like they just took the Exomex from Revengeance mod, did not change anything, and just put it in classic mode, and after making the world arena and getting better gear, I still couldn't beat them in a total of 4 tries. And I guess I will definitely count this as unbalanced boss. Because if I couldn't do it in 4 attempts, a casual Terraria player will not do it in 100 attempts. So I'll skip then and go straight to Supreme Calamities. And this is just a Revengeance Supreme Calamities fight, but everything is slowed and does significantly less damage. And some of her attacks emits less projectiles as well. And there was no moons at the last phase, kinda forgot about it. Supreme Calamities took me 3 attempts. And that's basically it for bosses. There's nothing left to review. That means it's time for a conclusion. Answering the main question, no. Calamity on classic mode is just not worth playing, because it goes like usual in pre-hard mode and hard mode stages. But starting on early post-Moonlord bosses, as you can see it becomes very unbalanced, especially 2 last bosses. It almost felt like they didn't change them at all. This is definitely sad, that the most popular Terraria's mod, classic mode, is unbalanced. But hey, there is still hope that they will fix it. It's a slim chance, but it's still there.